everyone, it's your friendly neighborhood Victoria the hairstylist coming to you from my home here in Edmonton, Alberta. As most of you know, or let's not even pretend, all of you know, COVID-19 is a thing. My province and my city has just mandated that all hair salons shut down. My salon's been closed for about 2 weeks now. So as ahead of the curve on this, I wanted to make sure that I am protecting my clients, my family, and my community as a whole from transference of the COVID virus. And as a hairstylist, because of the nature of our work, because of the close proximity, because we're always up here in your face and around your head and leaning over you, I couldn't guarantee that viruses wouldn't be transferred, so I closed my salon a couple weeks ago. As such, I've been going a little stir crazy, and I know a lot of you are too, especially a lot of us who are stuck at home. Not knowing what to do. This isn't the way we normally do things. We can't go see our friends, we can't go to work, we can't, and some of us are really stressed. So I'm doing a series of videos to try to get us out of that funk, and partly it's therapy for me. It's getting me out of my funk, and hopefully it'll be a little bit of therapy for you to get you out of your funk. And sometimes if we can't do anything, we can style our hair, and that sometimes makes a world of difference. So in this video, I'm going to be going through how to get the 1920s finger wave style in your hair in an easy way. Very, very simple with what you have at home. There's a lot of tutorials and videos out there, and they're not bad, they're great. I find them a little more complicated than the average person is able to do effectively. But all this requires is a flat iron essentially and some bobby pins. So this side I just left down after we've combed it out. So it's a nice soft finger wave. And this would be ideal for just, if you want to just go out, you can mess it around a little bit, get some movement in your hair. It just gives you that nice wave. You could even pull it back into a ponytail, and you can see how nice that would make that ponytail without you really having to do much extra work. And on this side, I've made it into a nice updo, a kind of 1920s inspired updo. So she's got the finger wave in here. So I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about finger waves. So finger waves came about the mid-teens, 1915-ish, and they were the thing well into the 30s. They were a trend. So the look of them varied. In the closer we get to the 30s, the softer they get, so the closer to this kind of style they end up with. And the earlier on we get more of this rigid kind of style. Both are absolutely beautiful styles, so it all depends on what you're going for. So this occurred during what we know as the flapper era, the roaring 20s. Women were beginning to be a little more liberated. The styles were becoming a lot shorter, and if women didn't want to cut their hair short, they would pin it up like Melania here has pinned up. It looks like a short hairstyle, but really her hair is quite long. And as I'll go into a little bit in the video, a lot of hairstyles between the 1900s to the 1950s or 60s were specifically cut to fit that one specific hairstyle. So don't be concerned if you're having trouble getting it to look exactly like this or exactly like a 1920s movie star, because their hair is probably cut specifically for this style. And what that would look like, it would be a lot like a mullet. They would be shorter in this area, so it'd be easier to get these finger waves in, and a lot of times women would wear, a little curl that comes down in here, like their finger wave plastered to their face coming down in here. So the short in the front made those finger waves a little bit easier to tame and to get back into control, and then the back would be super long. So Melania has long enough hair here, but we're talking like length, like really, really, really long hair. But keep in mind that the front of their hair would be cut quite short, possibly even as short as my hair is here. So keep that in mind if you're struggling a little bit to get that perfect 1920s look. Keep in mind that your hair is not cut for this style, or I'm guessing it probably isn't. So don't be too concerned about getting perfect. The key is you just want this finger wave in. So what we're going to need today to do this hairstyle is you're going to need your favorite flat iron. I'm using GHD, which stands for Good Hair Day. The GHD line of tools, they have flat irons, curling irons, waving irons, blow dryers, is the absolute best line of tools out there. So the key with GHD is that it only heats up to 185 degrees Celsius or 365 Fahrenheit. It doesn't go any higher than that, and it doesn't go any lower than that. They've only got one temperature. The reason for that is that that temperature is the ideal temperature for working with hair. So what that means, it is the perfect, it's hot enough to get the hair to take the shape and hold the shape, but it's not too hot that it's going to damage your hair. So it's that perfect line to have the perfect amount of hold without damage. And they also have some great technology in them. Now this is the, I'd say middle of the line, GHD Gold, which was their top of the line until they came out with the Platinum Plus. And so the key about different, like the various irons have different technology in them, but they're all generally the same. And the key is to ensure that there's even heat distribution all across these plates all the time. So this is why I swear up and down GHD. I used to be a Rowenta girl, and then I discovered these guys, and now I'm sold for the rest of my life. So you're gonna need a flat iron. You're gonna need a brush. I like a paddle brush for this. You can also use a oval brush, a wet brush, a natural bristle brush, something like this that you might have. You're going to need some bobby pins. I enjoy the Babyliss Pro. They're my favorite, but whatever you've got at home will be fine. You're gonna have clips. So I've got two types of clips here that I wanna show you. So you can use these types of clips for part of it to keep the hair out of the way. So these are the chompers. I call them chompy because they've got, you know, teeth. They almost look like the, you know, the old style masks for the plague doctors, which is quite apropos, I guess. And the other kind of clips I have are these guys. They are, they're not so chompy. They're smooth. They don't have teeth. So I recommend these ones. The chompy ones will work in a pinch. Oops, throw things around. The chompy ones will work in a pinch, but they're not ideal for this. And you'll realize why later on. But either one is fine. So, and you're gonna need a tail comb if you have one. I do a lot of my sectioning with my hand or my clips, but tail combs are actually very handy too to use, especially if you're new to this and you really want to get those sections done properly. You're also gonna have hairspray. I've got two different kinds. I've got the Sebastian Shaper Zero Gravity. So this is a brushable, workable, moldable hairspray, and it's buildable. So the more I put on, the harder it's gonna hold. This is what a lot of hairdressers will call a working hairspray. This means that I can use this before the style is finished, and I can still work with the hair. So I can spray it in to help hold it, but if I am gonna need to move that hair at any time, it will still move. And the final hairspray I'm going to use is the Sebastian Reshaper. So this is a brushable, humidity-resistant, stronghold hairspray. This is what I call a finishing hairspray. So this is going to really lock down that style. I do have one more hairspray. I'm not going to use it today. It's called Sebastian Shaper Fierce. And this is your ultimate hold hairspray. It is fantastic. I love it, but we're not necessarily going to need it today. But by all means, so you're going to need at least one hairspray. If you've got two, great, a light hold and a stronger hold. If you've only got one, that's okay too. No big deal, no problem, we'll work with that. And you're also gonna want a heat protectant spray. So I am using Shield It from Cadis. I'll pull it out again. You can't really see, my camera won't focus. But Shield It from Cadis. I cannot stress enough how important it is to use a thermal protector on your hair before putting any kind of hot tools directly on your hair. It provides a barrier for protection, and it helps mitigate a lot of the damage that heat directly on your hair can do. Heat isn't necessarily great for our skin, our nails, for anything, like a lot of heat directly. If you think of what happens to your skin when you apply high heat, you get a burn, right? Now think of that with your hair. So a heat protectant is going to protect you. The Shield It has a hold level of 1, which is perfect for what we're doing today, which means it's got some hold, but it's not a lot of crunchy hold. And that is absolutely what we want today. And then I may or may not at the end, depending on how I feel, I might use the Spark Up from Cadis as well. This is a really nice no hold, it's 0 on the hold, shine spray. It's fantastic. It's really nice and light. You can see how it kind of just disappears there on you. But it offers a lot of wonderful shine. And because it's a smaller bottle and the nozzle's a little small, you can really direct the shine to where you want it to be. And when I say that, I mean, I want it to be really shiny right in the front. I can literally just spray the front. And that gives you that little extra shiny shine there. See the difference? Yeah. So that's what I'm going to be working with today. Yeah, so I'll let you have a second to get everything ready. Or if you're just watching, then just hang out and get ready to go. And I'll see you in a couple seconds. And we're back. So I just wanted to do a couple sections or a section here for you so you get an idea of exactly what we're trying to create here. So for finger wave, as I mentioned before, finger wave's defining feature is this S curve. So this is really what we're trying to create, is this S curve in the hair. You can see, there we go. Now it's in focus. So we're really wanting to create that S curve. And that is specifically what we're going to be creating in the hair. So I've already taken my section. So I took a section that's about 1/2 inch wide or thick. And I'm going to divide this up into 2 sections because it's very hard to get even tension in the flat iron on a hair section that's that wide. So I'm going to do this in about, 1 to 2 inch sections. I'm going to take my flat iron. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing here first before I pull my flat iron out there. We're going to actually literally just physically create that S curve. So we want to try to get it to follow the S curve that's already in there. We don't want it to be too far off the pattern we've already created. So we're literally just going to, move the hair so it creates a bit of an S. You can kind of see what I'm doing there a bit. I can probably tilt her head a little bit more this way so you guys can see. So y'all can see. So I am literally just creating. Okay, and I'm back. So we are getting close to the top here now. So these are the last few sections we're going to do. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about this. So with a 1920s finger wave, one side is usually, very, very far forward, and the other side is coming back off the face. So with Melania here, she's got a part down the center, which wasn't generally typical of the 1920s, but you can do whatever you want with this. So since this side of the face is kind of coming forward, I want this side here, so on the other side, she's got a wave that's coming forward, and I'll show you that afterwards. But on this side, so I want this to be the opposite. So I'm going to make sure that I'm starting with the wave going with your S curve coming this way and then coming back to match this. But you can do whatever you want in that regard. Just know that when you're getting to the top couple layers, this is where that style is really going to come out. So if you really want it to sit forward, by all means, keep pushing it forward. But I'm going to continue to follow the pattern that I used and to create that really, really nice S shape. So I'm going to, again, thoroughly coat with the Shield It, as I have been saying the whole time. Please, 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 please use a thermal protectant on your hair. A light hold hairspray will do in a pinch if that's all you got at home right now and during COVID and you're kind of like, I don't have time to go out and I can't go out and get a new one, Victoria. And it's like, that's fine. A light hold hairspray, anything like that will work. But ideally, everybody should have a thermal protectant in their repertoire or in their cupboards. So like I said, I'm going to make sure this comes back initially, because I want to keep following my same pattern. And I'm apologizing if I'm going to get in your way here. I just cannot reach her properly. So we're going to do the same thing we've been doing, nothing too different. Create that. And then we're going to bring this back around to follow that S shape that we've already got in there, right? To follow that pattern. So Melania here has bangs. She's got the very, very trendy veil bangs that that are going around right now. Veil bangs and COVID-19. Yay! So it's going to be a little different for her. And so in the 1920s, something people don't realize when they're trying to do historical hair like this is it's never going to look really exactly the same. And part of the reason for that is because in eras before ours, for the most part, especially in the 60s and older, so 60s, 50s, 40s, women would actually get their hair cut specifically for the trendy style of the day. So a haircut that would work with these finger waves, with which we see in shows like Downton Abbey and Peaky Blinders, a lot of those styles would be specifically cut to work with that finger wave kind of idea. So, and what that would mean is that a lot of the hair in this area here, so in the front, would be quite short, actually, like the length of her bangs maybe, and cut in almost like a shag kind of mullety kind of style. And then the back would be long and almost like one length long and really quite long. you'd be amazed at how long the hair that the women in those days had, that they ended up twisting up and curling up and sitting right at the back of their hair. So just keep in mind that everything's not going to be perfect. So if you don't have bangs, it's going to look a little different for you in the front, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Melania here has bangs, so we're gonna work with those because they're there. So the key with any kind of style is to work with what you have, you know, what your hair is, you know, is at the time, and you just make it kind of, you adapt it to what you need it to be. So with Melania's bangs, we're adapting with that. If you don't have any kind of bangs or a fringe, that's totally okay too. You can just continue doing it the way you've been doing it. There's nothing to change. And as I said here, even with Melania, sorry, oh my gosh, my words. It's exactly the same technique. It's just when you get to the top, you just want to make sure you're thinking about, how do I want the finished look to look? So we got that. We want to follow our S shape. So we've got our back S shape. So this goes back and then it comes forward. So we're going to make sure we put that one in there properly. And I do apologize for my arm being in the way. I just having trouble doing it from the other direction here. And we want to be, again, we want to be pushing firmly, but not too hard, because otherwise you'll end up with flat iron marks in your hair, which are just straight lines across these curves. And it's a very easy thing to do, to push too hard and create those flat iron marks and those flat iron lines. So just be aware that you're not reefing down on it, that you're not pushing as hard as you can, but yet you are offering enough force that you're actually clamping down on the hair, and the hair is actually getting, you know, heat. You gotta be really careful. So you'll find your way, but just be careful not to clamp down too hard, because you will end up with flat iron marks in the hair. And what I mean by flat iron marks is, I'll show you right here. If I really clamp down, I'm using both hands and I'm like, yeah, we're getting that in there. Take it off. I don't know if you can really see there, but you'll end up with these, yeah, there's a little bit there. You can see these straight lines in the hair. We don't necessarily want those. Well, not even necessarily. We definitely don't want those. So that's the key, to find that firm pressure, but not too hard to create those lines. So I'm just going to finish this up here. So you can see how throughout most of this, we're actually following the same S-curve pattern. Like, everything's pretty blending in there. Pretty blended. I mean, there's a few pieces that aren't perfectly blended, but that's neither here nor there, because that's going to come out in the wash, so to speak, to use a very old 1920s kind of phrase. All right, so we've got a couple more sections here. So I'm going to finish this up and I will be right back. Okay, so I'm just finishing up here, and I just wanted to go over something a little bit with you. So when I was talking about the lines in the hair, which I tried to get down here but didn't really work, I'll show you right here. I did this one on purpose, and you can see what I'm talking about, the flat iron lines. This means you've just pushed a little too hard and you've created these lines. So if you find that you do have those, you can get rid of them, you can deal with them quite simply. You just take your flat iron and very gently, you're just gonna tap, 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 tap. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here. I'll do it from this angle here. You're just gonna gently put it on top of where those lines are. Push a little bit, but not too much, because you don't want to be, you know, creating new ones. It's hard to get them out completely, but you can get them out a bit so they're not quite as obvious. So this big one at the top here that I showed you. So I'm just going to go in and just gently lay the flat iron on that and just kind of tap, 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 tap it out. And that's going to create, it's going to help get rid of those lines. They're not going to be perfectly smooth, because once they're in, they're kind of in there. But it you can see, it kind of mitigates it a little bit, right? Like, it's still a little bit there, but it just smooths it out a little bit. And you can even go over it a little and just slowly drag the flat iron over it if you want. But just be very, very careful. And so that's why you really don't want to push too hard. So anyway, so now that I'm done, and you're done, and everybody's done here, and so you're kind of looking at that going, yeah, okay, that's kind of cool, but I don't know if I'd ever wear my hair like that. Like, it looks super messy, and yes, it does. So we're going to fix that now. So what you're going to get is that paddle brush, or that round brush, or whatever it is that you have at home. Something like this that I mentioned earlier. And we're just going to pull it up in some sections here, and we're just gonna brush out. You want to brush softly, but with enough force that you're actually brushing. So we're just gonna brush it out. And I know that sometimes can sound a little like, but I just put these curls in. If you've put them in properly with the right product, with the right tool, at the right heat, they're gonna stay as you brush. So you can see as I'm brushing out, still very much have that wave in there, right? It's not going away, it's just softening a little bit. So we're gonna brush that out. Okay, so now we've got that brushed out. So as you can see, brushed out, it's softer, and they're all blending together now, right? So they've all got that really nice blend to them. So there's a couple ways we can do this now. There's a couple things we can do from this. A, we can leave it as is, nicely, softly blend it out, unclip the rest of the hair, and you can go ahead and do this throughout the whole head, and you go towards the back too if you want. I'm choosing not to today just for time. So one thing we can do, if I bring Melania up to your height here again, there we go. So one thing we can do is just leave this wave in there. So kind of like we've got on this side here, you see that nice soft wave? It's just nice, soft. And so what we could do, one thing we could do with this, just put it into ponytail. And you can see how that's still got that nice soft wave to it, you know, without you having to do too much extra. But what we can else do, we can do is we can put it into a, you know, an updo like you saw before as well. So what I like to do sometimes with these S curves is I like to really, after brushing them out, I really like to define them and make them a little bit more of a feature of the style, especially if I'm going for a 1920s look, because they were very much, you know, very prominent in this style. So how do we go about doing that? So we're going to look at where our S curves are. So on here, sorry, she's a little high now. It's always tough getting the right height here for you guys. So as you can see, this S curve comes back like this, right? And you can see how it goes all the way back here. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take one of these clips without the teeth, without the chomping teeth. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to really emphasize that. So I'm going to use my finger, I'm going to push the hair up a little bit, and I'm just going to slide this in, just to hold that S curve in there. So you can see how the S curve is there. I've slid this in. Maybe push it up a little bit if you want a bit more definition that way. Oops, I missed some of the hair here. So we're just gonna slide, I'll do it again here. Slide that in. Okay, so you got that in there. And then you can see coming down here that our next S curve comes out and comes this way. So we want to emphasize that one as well. So what we're going to do is get that all set up. We're going to see, oh yeah, shows up there. We see where that goes. Take another one of these clips. I don't know if you guys can see what I'm doing there. There we go. And I'm going to slide it in from this side. So you can see how that's really helping to define those S curves. And then depending on how many clips you have, I've only got one more that I brought home with me. I'm going to do one more here. So we've got one going this way, one going this way. And so then we want to emphasize another S curve going back this way. So I'm going to again slide this in gently over top. And even push it up a little bit maybe, just to get a little bit more oomph and definition. There we go. So you can see how that's really reinforcing that S curve. And because the bottom here with this updo that I'm just going to finish this off with, this is all going to go back. We don't need to worry too much about the ends here right now. But if you were going to leave this down, you could go in and put clips alternating all the way down. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Sebastian Shaper Zero Gravity that I talked about, the brushable, buildable, working hairspray that I mentioned. And I'm just going to spray this. I'm going to spray this shape. Spray these S curves, spray them in place, spray them where we want them. And I'm going to get it quite saturated with hairspray, almost so it's a little bit wet. But the nice thing about this brushable Sebastian working hairspray here is that it never gets really sticky, even if it gets a little bit wet. And that's the reason I love it, is because it's workable. So even after this, even after that much hairspray in it, I'm still going to be able to brush through this hair. So it's pretty fantastic. So I'm just going to spray that down, and we're going to leave those clips in there. We're just going to leave them, let them do their thing. They're going to hold there. The hairspray is going to dry. It's going to reinforce that style. So then what we're going to do is coming around the back here. So with that original style, what you saw, the picture is that it had the S curves in the front, and then it had some what we call pin curls in the back. And so pin curls essentially are simply curls that are pinned. They're pin curls. So I'm just going to grab my bobby pins and everything I need to finish this up, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, so a pin curl. So I'm going to show you how to wrap a pin curl, and if any of my instructors from hair school are watching, yes, I know this isn't exactly what you taught us to do. I realize this. It's fine. It's the apocalypse pandemic, you know, whatever going on here. We don't worry about that right now. So, so what this is going to look like for a pin curls, I'm going to just show you right here so you can see. Essentially, a pin curl is just a pinned curl. So to create that curl that you want initially, I generally just wrap around my finger like so. And then you slide it off, roll it up a little bit more, and then you can pin it. Don't worry, I'll do it a couple more times for you to see. And so with the bobby pin, you want to make sure that you're getting the ends of the hair into the bobby pin. So if you look in here, you can usually see, oh yeah, the ends are kind of right about here. So I'm just going to put my bobby pin over the ends. I like to circle around, oops, that's her ear. See, on a mannequin, it can be a little bit tricky because her ear is in the way. Their ears are in weird spots. So again, I'm gonna twist around my finger, roll it up a little bit more, make sure I'm clearing her ear here. There we go. And clip those ends. And so I like to wiggle the bobby pin around in circles a few times to make sure that I'm catching enough hair to really, really clip onto. And then I'm going to throw the pin in. And you might need a couple. Her hair's kind of being a little challenging just based on where her ear is too. It's a little bit awkward here. So I'm actually going to move this curl elsewhere because this is not going to pin properly there. So what I might do then, and this might work actually really well, is I'm just going to pin this hair back. Get it away from the face, get it in the area that we all want it to be, which is back. There we go. Yeah. Okay, so there we go. I had to take a second there. Her hair was just giving me a little grief there. So I've got it just basically pinned back and out of the face. So we're going to start that pin curls back here then now, because her ear's in a wonky spot compared to her hair, and it's just not going to work. So again, I'm going to go through this a little bit with you. Take your section, take your fingers. You can do 3 fingers, you can do 4 if you want big curls, if you got lots of hair. You can do 1 if you got tiny little ones. I think 2 generally tends to be the perfect number of fingers to use to wrap hair around, and that just makes me think of something that I'm sure some of my friends will laugh at when I talk about using 2 fingers. But we're just gonna wrap it around the fingers, pull it off, and then curl it up. Grab your bobby pin, open it up. A lot of people will open it up with their mouth. I don't recommend that, especially in a time of COVID. But if you need to and you're only using it on yourself, go ahead. Otherwise, stick your fingernail or your finger towards the top here. Let's see if I can get you to see this. Pull open, slide in, then hold it open with the meatiness of your finger. So I'm just gonna stick it through the pin curl here, slide that bobby pin up. And if I need to, I will put a second one in just to really lock it down. And if you need to use a couple bobby pins per pin curl, it's really okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So we've got our first pin curl in. And so we're just going to continue throughout the back of the head, making more pin curls and pinning them up wherever we feel they need to be. So that's what I generally like to do, is I wrap it around my finger, and then I just kind of look at the overall style. And I know you're doing this if you're doing this on your own, it's kind of hard to see, because you're not able to see the back of your head like I am. But we can use a mirror. There's, tons of different types of options out there. Or if you're doing this on somebody else, I just kind of roll them and pin them where I feel they're going to be, where they're going to look nice, where they should be. And I also kind of like to feel around with, where does this pin curl want to be? Sometimes I'd rather go with where it wants to be than fight it and force it into somewhere else, especially in this kind of scenario where we're pinning them up and we don't have we have a style we're going for, but it's not, so specific that we need every single hair to be in its exact space, right? And if you're having a little challenge too, you can always grab your working hairspray again, the Shaper Zero Gravity, which is what I'm using, and just keep the hair a little bit of a spray. It's going to give it a little bit more control and a little bit of hold, so it's not, falling out all over the place and fluffing around and, all that kind of stuff. Now, if you did end up doing the whole head in the finger wave pattern, probably won't have to worry about putting any hairspray on because it's already got some hold to it. But the back of Melania's hair here is actually very soft because I haven't put any product in this section yet. So I had to I had to dirty it up a little bit. And you can see as we're going along how we're getting this style in the hair. How it's starting to come together, I guess, would be the idea with these pin curls. And you really don't need too many of them either. Most hair can be pinned up with a few pin curls. Doesn't need a ton. And we'll do one more here. Again, pull your section. You can divide this up into two sections if you want. If you want to put, pile some curls on top. For example, we'll take this top section here, wrap this around, and we can get, some curls a little bit higher up like that. Sorry, my mannequin head keeps moving around there. She's a little bit more difficult to work with than an actual client, even though she doesn't complain. She also doesn't friggin' sit still when I tell her to. I mean, granted, some clients don't either, but she's a little more difficult. So this hair isn't going to be part of that. We're just going to do this side. So we've got that done. We're going to give her a spray with the working hairspray. Tuck on any ends that might be sticking up. Give her another spray here. Lock everything down and in. Awesome. So I'm just going to pull this and clip this side out of the way here. So we've got that done, and then we go back to the front here where we've got our clips. So this is actually, we're just doing some finishing touches now. So what this means is we're going to slide the clips out. Like so. And then we can see if we need to place the finger wave a little bit differently, if we need to throw some pins in there, if we need to brush it out a little bit, like I'm going to do just a little bit, just to free it up a bit. There we go. Use the hairspray to help pin it, lock it down. And then if you still need some bobby pins to go in to to fix this up or change it up or move it around a little differently, go right ahead. So I'm just going to play around with her here. And I'll be back with you in like 2 seconds here. And there we go. We've got our finished product. So this is our 1920s inspired style. On the other side here, where I brushed it out and left it soft and brushed out, I just threw it into a little ponytail. So you can see how cute that is. Now, this could sit behind, so it's not sticking out. You can do pigtails if you want. But if this were sitting right behind, you can see how cute that would be without you really having to do anything. So it's a really neat, unique style that a lot of people don't do, because it's a little bit challenging, or at least with a lot of the tutorials out there, it can be a little bit harder than you want. Whereas I find this is actually very simple and can be really quick once you get the hang of it. And that's the key, is getting the hang of it. A lot of us have a lot of time at home right now, so we have a lot of time to practice this kind of stuff. So hopefully, once all the COVID-19 stuff is over and we can go out again, you all be experts at this. And then I'll show you the other side here too. So this one's a more 1920s classic style. And there's the side. You can see the finger wave in there. And then there's the back there as well with her pin curls. I would probably finish this off. I'd probably pin this pin curl a little bit tighter and probably pin that one back too a little bit tighter, as it seems to be, you know, loosening up a little bit here on me, because mannequin head is a little bit difficult to deal with, but that's your overall look. So thank you everybody for joining me, and I will see you next time with another style or some more ideas and information on hair care. Have yourself a wonderful day. Take care of yourself, support your local businesses, and be safe. Hi everyone, thank you for watching. I just wanted to let you know my salon is Metropolitan Rockabilly Hair Design. You can find me online at Metropolitanrockabilly.ca. You can find me on Facebook at Metropolitan Rockabilly Hair Design, and on Instagram at Metropolitan Rockabilly and fancy_Metropolitan Rockabilly. You can buy e-gift cards. The link is below. That would help me out greatly during this time when I'm unable to work, if you'd like. There's also an e-transfer option if you'd like to donate towards me making these videos at this time, because I am not getting paid for them. I am doing these because I feel you need them, and I need them, and we all need these kind of things today. So yes, I just wanted to thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for some more videos. Let me know below in the comments what you'd like to see, what you think, any questions you have as well. So have yourself a wonderful day, take care of each other, support small business, and stay safe.